One of the things that we want to remind workers of is that workers are not always right. Workers are sometimes wrong. The employer is not always right, but the employer is often correct. And so as an employee, as a professional, you have to ensure that you are guided and you are mindful of the rules and regulations that govern the conduct of your job, how you conduct yourself.
A strong reminder coming from the Public Relations Officer of the Public Workers Union, Daisy Hazard, on the heels of a case involving a long-standing executive officer in the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports and Culture, who recently prevailed in a matter brought against her by the Public Service Commission, which threatened the status of her employment. The worker was accused of leaking on social media an internal memorandum of the contractual arrangement for the hiring of Patrick Simmons and Ian Thomas as advisors to Sports Minister Ron Redhead in February. The public officer was investigated by the Public Service Commission, which set up a 3-member committee to hear the matter. Last month, the committee ruled that the PSC failed to prove its case against the worker, who had been on administrative leave since March. Hazard, who confirmed that the executive worker was returned to the substantive position as of Monday, cautions public officers against the leaking of information and reminds them of their individual responsibility to familiarize themselves with the public service rules and regulations.
There's a lot of lessons here for public officers to be mindful of the SR&O, not just 31. Many officers, long-serving officers in the public service, has never taken the time to look at the SR&O and to be very mindful of the rules and regulations that governs them. And that's an individual responsibility. The union can do its part. Supervisors are mandated by law to ensure that employees are aware of and are consistent with the SR&O. But you also have an individual responsibility to yourself.
She is also advising public officers to keep personal employment records for future reference.
When you receive a promotion, you receive a concern, you receive a reprimand, anything that you receive at all from the PSC or from your PS that relates to your job, make sure that you make a copy of those letters and keep your own personal file, whether you keep it in soft copy or you keep a hard copy file at your home, not in the government's work, so that you can refer to those documents if and when you need them. Because what the union saw in this matter with that particular officer is that that officer had been very careful over the years to accumulate personally any document that would have gone onto their file. And that officer was able to give to the attorney some files, and those files were used to vindicate and validate that officer's tenure in the public service. So that's the caution to officers.
In a recent news release, the Public Workers Union assures public servants of its commitment without prejudice to advocacy and sound representation in the best interest of its members as it aims to safeguard livelihoods and improve the lives of workers. For GBN News, I'm Nisha Paul.